Hey, what's going on, guys? We are the Marauders, and we're going to be talking about some Star Wars today. Yeah, then all five of us. We actually have a sixth guy normally, but I don't know if he's going to be joining us for this. Guys, introduce yourselves.
What's going on? My name is Ace Kennedy, and in the Marauders, I am Ace Kendar, a very, very handsome, bald-head Jedi.
My name's Shane. I don't know the name of my character in the podcast, but I play the only girl, so go team.
That's right. My name is Justin Robbins, and I play Lou Bega because I'm Mondo number 5, Mandalorian, for those of you that aren't up on that.
And my name is Joey Wallace, a.k.a. Joey Wall. I am the GM in training, learning as we go along.
So, guys, yeah, we got two different things going on here. This is our actual podcast that we're going to try out, see what you guys think about it. And then we also have an RPG Star Wars game that all of us play together. So that's the characters they're talking about right now. So, and I play a clone trooper, actually, named Crux Anders. So maybe we'll see some of that. But for sure, leave a like, comment, share this to everybody. Just to make sure people like it. So, yeah, let's get to it.
Where's the like?
So,
can I do that now?
Can you like it? Like it. Give it a like.
Like.
Thumbs up party. Thumbs up party.
Done.
So, our first thing on the agenda, we are going to talk about Kathleen Kennedy. And somebody thinks that they ruined Star Wars. So, what are we going to talk about on that? Who wants to start?
I know you're itching to start.
I don't know about itching to start. Here's what I feel, right? I think Kathleen Kennedy gets a bad rap. For one, Disney is one of those, they're a big company, and they are definitely in the public eye a whole lot more than some of the other companies might be. And so I feel like that a lot of the decisions that she makes are very more public than some of the other companies. Like you hear about firings of directors and different moves and stuff. And because the Star Wars fan base in itself, they are very reactive to everything. It's either going to please or displease one or two fans or whatever the case may be. I think she gets a bad rap. I think she's an incredible executive in making the hard decisions to make these movies successful.
Okay, so I've got lots of thoughts. So let me start off and say and be very clear. I think Kathleen Kennedy's great. I think she's a great person. I think she's done great movies. This and that. I think her first response leading the team was the right response, which was hands off. Now, listen, everything I'm about to say is my opinion. I don't really know. I'm not in the meetings, but from my opinion, I feel like her first response was the right response, which was hands off. Like, let's just let the people do what they do. Because I feel like after after 8, they knee-jerk reaction, and they were a little more hands-on for 9. And again, regardless if you like 8 or not, I think the bigger problem they ran into is 7, 8, 9 should have been written by one person instead of multiple people. And I also think, and we could talk more about this, but me and Ahmad have talked a lot about this before, but the thing that Marvel does so well at is they incorporate the comics, they incorporate the cartoons, and they all kind of have these little things that are like Easter eggs of all this stuff together. And I feel like Star Wars has really missed out on that, rewarding the fans. Like Shane, I know Shane, you have grown up reading every single book your entire life. And so for people like you, it just to reward you for just those little Easter eggs. And I think they've missed out on that. So I'll say this. I think Kathleen Kennedy's good. I do think they overreacted after 8, but they should have had one person write them all. I know that's kind of a little bit of vague on what we were talking about, but that's kind of my take on Kathleen.
All right, I want in on this. So let's see. We blamed Lucas when he released the prequels too. We said that he ruined Star Wars. So, I mean, that's kind of the reactionary base that Star Wars is. Like, they put out something and half of them hates it, half of them love it. with Kathleen, like, I think she's done a great job. We've got more Star Wars now than we've ever had. Were mistakes made? Absolutely. I think the overreaction started when Solo tanked. And Solo didn't really tank, but in their mind it did. And I think that's when the overreaction started. Then you get the negative reactions to 8, and then we panic and we overanalyze 9. Ahmad?
I was just gonna say, but that's the thing though. Solo's success was not based on Kathleen Kennedy.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying we've got more Star Wars now than we've ever had before, and Kathleen is pushing Star Wars. And I, from a Star Wars fan, like, I can live with some bad decisions as long as I'm getting Star Wars. And I think there's been some overreactions, and I think she's made mistakes. But I think if you look at the overall picture, she's on the right track. And you look at the push they're making with the new, what's the name of the new book series they're starting?
High Republic.
High Republic. You look at High Republic, and it's like you said, they've shown the integration they want with High Republic, whether it be comics. I don't know about TV series or anything, but it's going to be comics, it's going to be books, it's going to be kids series. So we're seeing more of the integration.
Movie coming up.
Yes, and I think the big thing is now we got the Skywalker saga out of the way, so they can start over and they can build things, and then hopefully they can write it as a cohesive unit and not one movie by one different director each time. Because I don't think you can have different visions when you're doing a trilogy of movies. I don't think it works.
So what do you think about her putting the Kenobi on halt to try to like redo some new scripts? I mean, do you think that was a good idea?
Well, that's the thing. We don't know what actually happens. We only get to hear what's leaked. So the thing is that we don't know. She could have very well stopped the catastrophe from happening. What if they had Obi-Wan just sitting in the cantina for 3 hours and she was like, no, he needs to like fight Vader, because that was what was referenced in episode 4. Like, we don't know. We just assume, because anytime that we hear something bad that happens, the first person you want to do is blame Kathleen Kennedy.
You can, and y'all can come back and say, you said this at this time. That's fine. I'm going to go on the record right now saying, I think all this is them pushing Obi-Wan to a movie. I can't see you. There's not like any reason to say yes or no on that. It's a feeling, because I feel like they already had, 6 hours already ready. And I think they're going to up the budget and push it to a movie. Because I think right now with the movie series, they're just looking for whatever's ready to go in the pipeline. And I think, and if you look at, just look at from a financial standpoint, how much more money they would make on Obi-Wan in the movies versus putting it on Disney Plus.
It's true. Well, but do you not think that it would rival The Mandalorian by putting somebody that's a staple character, as a series like that? I think it would.
I mean, I'm just talking from a money standpoint, and that's usually where decisions are made. It's such a big name, Obi-Wan. I mean, it literally can draw everybody on the name alone. I really think that's what the halt is. I think it's still a go, but I think they want to up the budget and push it to a movie. Y'all can tell me here pretty soon I was wrong. I'll take it.
Well, this is the only reason why I disagree with that, and I don't want to get all the way into it. But one of the things, when Disney Plus came out, right? If you notice, when Bob Iger stepped down, his thing was he wants to build Disney Plus up. That's what his goal is. That's what his legacy wants to be. And part of the thing is that with Netflix having all of these original programming and Hulu and all of these other streaming services that have kind of been out ahead of the game, and even like with Apple TV or with whatever the Apple thing is, they have all this original programming come out. When Disney Plus first dropped, Mandalorian was it. So a lot of subscriptions dropped right after the Mandalorian season ended. So they need more programming that's going to be able to draw people while they're filming other episodes, which is why I think they would keep Kenobi as a series versus a movie, because we already have Kevin Feige on board to do a movie next. Obviously we don't know what's going on with Rian Johnson's trilogy, but they're already slated to have movies come out with Kenobi. That's another big name that you could put to rival when Mandalorian is not in production.
We also got a lot of Marvel coming up. So there's a lot of Marvel that's about to hit us. And I think that's going to be pushing the Disney Plus for a little while too. I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I do think there is enough in the pipeline coming up for Disney Plus. You did say Rian Johnson. I just wanted to note real fast. I watched Knives Out last night, and it's a great movie.
I can't wait to see it.
What'd you say?
I just think
Still haven't seen it.
It's good.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
It's a great movie, really good. Ryan Johnson knocked it out of the park on that movie for sure.
Well, I wonder though, of all the things that we're pulling and doing like that, what about the one? What is the guy that was in Rogue One?
Cassian
What was that?
Andor.
Yeah, why not pull that one? I mean, that's the one they have the least amount done on, but then they pull Obi-Wan.
Well, so
That story would be so much better.
I read in an article that Kathleen was just not happy with the script at all, and she postponed it indefinitely. But we don't know. Is she basing her? I know this is going to be like pandering. Is she basing her theory of what is good and not off of canon, off of legacy? Is she doing it off of just her own, like what's going to sell? Like, what was her reasoning for saying no? This is horrible.
Well, here's one thing. This is another reason why I think Kathleen Kennedy gets a bad rap. You would be naive to believe that she's the only one that makes these decisions. They have a story group that is there to be able to put these things together. It's the same thing like with Joey talking about some of the backlash that was received for episode 8. Ryan Johnson didn't just come up with that story by himself. He had source material and he actually talked to the story group. He moved out to San Francisco when they were reshooting just to be able to bounce his ideas off it back and forth. So it's not a one person that makes a decisions thing. It is a collective group.
For sure. Absolutely.
And he's come out and said, McGregor has, that it's still on for the Disney Plus series, that they just wanted to clean up some stuff in the scripts. And I don't know if it's true or not. So this is from what I've heard. I also heard that the Vader scene in Rogue One was added in post shoots. So they filmed the whole movie and then they're like, hey, wait a minute, let's add this. And that's one of the best scenes in the film. So, if she read the scripts and didn't feel like it was enough for the series, I mean, like I said, it's not just her making those decisions. So if they're going to do a 6 episode series, like there has to be enough to flesh that out and make it worth the money they're investing in it. So, I mean, they've still got the main character on board. And let's be honest. I mean, Obi-Wan is the draw, but it's Ewan McGregor. I mean, that's why we're all there. Yeah. So, I mean, he's on board and he's excited. So I think as long as they keep his excitement up, the series is going to be great.
Yeah.
I was going to say too, just kind of add to your point about Ryan Johnson with the story group. Did you see that report here recently that he wishes he could have had it screened before they aired it? There was a big deal where they were talking about because the deal with Star Wars, most movies, when movies come out, they get to put them in screeners and people get to watch them, and then the director can go, oh, and just visually for a director to sit back in a movie theater and see it on the big screen changes everything for him. And so he didn't get any of that because of how tight-lipped they are with Star Wars. And so I just thought it was real interesting that he said he wishes he would have got that. I think we would have got a different 8 if he would have had some screeners too.
Do you think he makes major changes though? I mean, because
I don't know how major his changes would have been, but I think he understands. He listens to fans. I mean, he's a fan himself. Like that's the thing. Me and Ahmad talked a lot about this before 8 and how excited we were because Ryan Johnson is such a big fan of Star Wars. Let me just go on the record. I like Ryan Johnson. I think Ryan Johnson is a great director. I think his story as a story in a movie is great.
Now for episode.
I don't like what he did with Luke Skywalker.
Totally agree.
As a fan.
Totally agree.
So, but it's go for it, Ahmad. Go for it. You're ready. I know.
No. I was letting you get your point out, bro.
No. You're good. I think I've made it.
I think that I understand that there was a lot of backlash with episode 8, but you know what? I'm hearing just as much backlash with episode 9. I just think that at the end of the day, there are people that like episode 8 and there are people that don't like it. And so, we've talked to length privately about, how we felt like episode 9 was a direct connection with episode 8 and why people think that it was to fix episode 8, which again, that's a whole different topic. But the whole point is this, hindsight is 2020, right? So of course, him probably looking at, hey, I wish I could have pleased more Star Wars fans. He probably would have wanted to screen it. But I definitely agree that the story that he told was a story that he wanted to tell. And I think that ultimately, if you look at the story, the script, Episode 8 was better than 9 to me. I still think
100%.
Episode 9 had a bunch of beautiful cinematography and a bunch of action, but I still think that Episode 8 had a lot more highlights and story changing beats than Episode 9 did.
Okay.
Now, I am repeating myself. I'll let you talk, Shane. Sorry.
Good.
I am repeating myself, but I'm doing it more for this podcast because I know I've said this to all of you guys. But 9, I liked better as a fan. 8 is a better movie to go and see.
Totally agree.
If you're the new guy not seeing Star Wars at all,
Yeah,
8 is
for sure.
As
What were you
someone,
gonna say, Shane?
as someone who grew up reading every book that's no longer canon, I understand that. As someone who grew up on that, the Legends of Luke Skywalker, Mara Jade, building the temple, the Yusvan, all that stuff. Like, my biggest issue with Episode 8 was the treatment of Luke Skywalker. Like, Episode 8 was a great movie. I love it. But as a fan, as someone who watched Episode 7 and saw that last scene where she hands him the lightsaber, and I spend a year like desperately waiting for Luke Skywalker, and then you come into that movie and Luke Skywalker throws it over his shoulder. I understand everything about it. But as someone who spent my entire childhood growing up waiting to see Luke Skywalker in his prime, like as the leader of the Jedi, like, I don't know that I can ever forgive that. Like, that's my thing. Is I wanted Luke Skywalker,
Shane,
not old grumpy Luke Skywalker.
let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Couple of things. Number one, just real quick.
Yeah.
Throwing the saber over the shoulder, right?
Yeah.
If we didn't have that moment, then in Episode 9, when he catches the saber and you lost everything within your body, you would have not had that moment.
But I'm
We wouldn't
fine
have
with
had that moment because we wouldn't have had him.
Exactly.
If he wouldn't have thrown it over, they wouldn't have had that part in the
But
other movie.
listen. The episode. So this is what we have to understand, right? In Episode 8, 7, 8, and 9, the story isn't about Luke Skywalker anymore. Now, mind you, he is a plot point, but the story isn't about Luke. So when we're talking about Luke in his prime, this is not the Luke in his prime movie. He's old. He's old man Luke, just like when we met Obi-Wan Kenobi in Episode 4. He wasn't in his prime.
But he wasn't grumpy.
He also didn't abandon the Force and hide out in him.
He wasn't grumpy.
But
though,
hold on a second.
He was doing his part.
But Obi-Wan Kenobi also didn't have a father that ruined the galaxy and a nephew that ruined the galaxy either.
But he also didn't have 25 years of books that got thrown out the window when Disney bought Lucasfilm. Okay, so I'm saying, as a Luke Skywalker guy, like, I would sell my soul for Luke Skywalker. Okay, I love that man. Not as much as Natalie Portman, but I love that man. Okay,
I love Luke Skywalker as well, brother. He is definitely my favorite character in Star Wars. But at the same token, oh my gosh, yeah, I'll leave that girl to you.
That's my biggest thing is I can't get over Luke Skywalker. Like, I love the end of the movie. I don't like the way Luke was portrayed. Like, that's not the Luke I grew up with. I understand that my stuff is Legends. I get that, but it's hard for someone who grew up with that to just forget it. And then see, the only time Luke gets screen time in that movie, he's doing away with the Jedi Order. So that's my biggest thing. That's my only complaint. I thought it was a great film. I just wish he didn't have a part in Episode 8. Make his own movie. Give him his own trilogy. I'm all for it.
Okay, so before we actually we need to move on. But before we do that, would you guys have been okay with him just tossing the lightsaber if we had an actual movie before that we actually got to see him like have a reason to be frustrated? Like,
as long as we see
his frustration,
as long as we see
all his
General Grievous
hold on,
running and grabbing every lightsaber that's tossed away, I'm fine
funny.
with it.
But if we had saw that other than somewhere in a flashback a long time after all this, would you guys have been okay with him just tossing it over his shoulder? If you had at least understood, instead of all this extra crap that we go, well, it's in the book or it's in a comic book or whatever.
Well, so I know this is kind of in our something we're going to talk about a little bit later, but I honestly think we will have a Luke Skywalker movie or series come out. I think Sebastian Stan, the fans are screaming too loud for that. I think it's going to happen. But I think after watching the director and the Jedi, the behind the scenes thing of Episode 8, and listening the audiobook of The Legends of Luke Skywalker, I was able to understand why Luke could have been in that position. Again, I am not disagreeing that I would have liked to see him in a different form, but for the arc of the story and understanding that the story has transitioned to Rey's story, I was okay with it, because to me, in my opinion, Mark Hamill was the best Luke Skywalker he ever was in Episode 8. That's my opinion. Because if you want to talk about character arcs, who's jacked up, I didn't really like Rey's story arc.
Ahmad's right. I mean, as far as like, it's not. I see how they got there with the way they did the story. I get it. The issue is, now my opinion is going to be a little different than Shane. Shane read all the books growing up, so he has a picture of Luke already. Me, I had friends that read the books, and they always told me what happened, and I was just like, man, Luke was a badass. Like, I mean, all the stuff they told me, and so all the fans have had these pre-notions of what Luke is, and then Disney came in and said, we're going to make Luke not what you think he is. From a story standpoint, I understand, but again, there is times to do fan service. You could argue if that's where you do it or not. I think you do, but I'm just glad we're over this hump. I'm ready to see what's next.
Yeah.
I think this new stuff coming out in the High Republic is going to be really good.
Yeah.
You can't say though that him like forcing himself with Kylo and then he's like bending over backwards, going underneath this blade and stuff. That was pretty awesome though. That still helped. And that made it good for me at least.
I told him that no one likes the movie.
Yeah, well, no. So I told the mod this too. We talked about this, but like, when I think of 8 and 9, I would rather watch 8, even though I didn't like 8 as much as a fan. 8 has more enjoyable scenes. 9 has nothing that I want to see again.
Even the end scene.
The movie. I thought the end scene. If they just would have put all the Jedis behind her, it would have helped.
Yeah.
It just when we talk about that battle at the end, I hate to break it to anybody, it's not a good battle scene. It's not. It's just lightning shooting back and forth. Yeah, it's just lightning and that's it. Best battle scene in Star Wars, Episode 1, still to date.
This is my last point that I'll make about it, and then I'll let you guys have it. But so one of the things that I thought Ryan did that was absolutely, utterly amazing as far as like the story beats, right? So he talks about like when Rey's talking to him and he says, well, what am I supposed to do? Go out in front of the whole First Order and strike them down with a laser sword? And that's in essence what he did. But it took it a step further, because not only did he do that, he wasn't even there, bro. Like, then here's the thing. I didn't see the reveal. I typically can see that stuff. I didn't see the reveal. So to know that he was that powerful, that he was the only Jedi that I was to ever know to doppelganger himself and put himself out there, and people believed it, and he did what a Jedi was supposed to do. It's being a Jedi is not about destroying things and killing people, and he did what he needed to do for the resistance to fight another day. And I thought that was just great writing to have it said in earlier on in the film, and then it manifested in the end, and then he wasn't even there, bro.
Okay,
I'm gonna do one point. You take the last one, Shane. You take the last point.
All right, go ahead.
I'm with Ahmad. All I wanted to say is, when 8 first came out, I was such a Rian Johnson fan. I defended, and when I watched it, I still defended. I defended because I liked Rian so much. Then, as a fan, it kind of hit me, and I wasn't happy. And so I have this like arc. I was like really high, and then I went down and down, and then I saw 9, and now I've gone back up on 8. And I actually, as it's gone on, I actually like 8 more now that I have the final look through of everything. Not saying, again, I still stick by, as a fan, 9 was better as a story. Rian Johnson's dialogue is far and away better than what J.J. Abrams did.
The best of any Star Wars movie.
Yeah, dude, the dialogue, I mean, those scenes between Kylo and they're doing the Skype calls back and forth is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
But now you look at 9, there is some good dialogue between Rey and Kylo, but other than that, it's just trash. Just throw the rest of the dialogue away. Okay, you take it.
Okay. Before we get, hold on.
Okay,
wait.
Go ahead.
You don't get a point,
so
Shane. See ya.
Yeah, I'll give you your point, but we're gonna go since we're already talking in that realm. We're just gonna start talking about the rise of Skywalker. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start, and then I'll give you your point, Shane. You can go on to it.
Good.
I felt like the whole movie was like that little piece at the end of Marvel with Endgame, where they took like every single character they could and just shoved them all together and was like, "Hey, here it is." You can't even like comprehend everything that's there, especially like the very end when you have all these ships that show up, and it's like, well, where the crap were all these guys this whole time? Why all of a sudden did these just show up when they've never been that big in a Resistance ever? They've never been that big. Go ahead, Shane.
Okay, so 9 to me is just a big missed opportunity. Like, that could have been the best movie of all 9 movies if they take the time and they explain things and they add a few more things. Like, you give us the Jedi in the ending of the fight scene, you show them. You explain that Palpatine's a clone. Little tiny things over the course of that movie that take maybe 5 minutes make that the best movie in the series, in my opinion. Now, we can talk dialogue and stuff like that. I get it. It's not great. But if you take the time and you give us a tiny bit of backstory without making us read all these books, we're fine. But no, we just gloss over everything. We gloss over it, and we just assume that people are going to know he's a clone. And then we assume they're going to know who every one of his voices are. And then we get episode 9. So episode 9 could have been the best in the series if they don't panic after episode 8 and they write the film well and they put those scenes in there.
We have some comments coming in too. Mike Holland said episode 9 should have been in 2 or 3 parts to really get everything that was needed.
Totally agree.
I literally agree with that 100%, that it should have been 2 movies. I think, especially going off of what Joey's point was earlier about them having movies slated coming up. They knew they weren't going to do anything after episode 9 for quite a while. And the fact that they, basically let Colin Trevorrow go, it should have been an opportunity for them to take the time to break the movies up into 2 parts. I think you would have been, with this being the end of the whole entire saga of the Skywalker lineage, it just made sense because, I mean, in essence, if we really want to break it down, it went from being a Skywalker saga to a Palpatine saga.
Yep.
Sad. You're right. You're absolutely right.
The rise of Palpatine.
It's okay, because she says she's a Skywalker at the end. So
yeah. Austin said,
I hate that line.
Austin said,
you can just assume what you want to be.
Austin said to wash your hands. He misses us.
Miss you, Austin. I need Austin dialogue on this.
Austin does alcohol? Can you wash your hands with alcohol? Does that help?
Actually, yes, it will.
Absolutely, that's actually what they recommend.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Then I've been doing it right this whole time.
You're going to be fine.
All right.
Okay.
Back on
so
track.
9.
Yeah. So we've been talking about that. What about? We can start with. We have deleted scenes on here. We haven't actually seen any real deleted scenes because nobody's wanted to talk about it. Everybody says that they're out there, and they say Kathleen Kennedy did this and wiped it out and whatever. I don't want to get back to the beginning where we started, but what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, there was a rumor going around that there is actually a JJ cut. Just like the Snyder cut, there's a JJ cut. From some of the reports that have been floating around, and again, I'm just saying what the reports are, that Kathleen Kennedy and some of the stockholders, when they saw the movie, they thought it was going to be too inside baseball. Where originally the original villain that was supposed to be in episode 9 was the brother from the Mortis arc. And for those of you guys who have watched the Clone Wars and even Rebels, that arc is there. And so brother was for those people that don't know, you had the daughter who was more light side, the brother was dark side, and then the father was more a gray person. And so the thing was that they Matt Smith was originally supposed to be cast in the movie, and a lot of people believe that was actually who he was cast to be. But then they thought it was like it would go over too many people's heads, and so they moved that out the way, and then they cut a lot of the stuff, like the explanation of Palpatine, which was then being explained in the novel version of the movie.
And let's be clear. That's what the big problem here is that they try to cater to people that have never seen the movie or just Star Wars. And so, and I just think it goes back and it hurts them, because if they would have done what Ahmad's talking about in the beginning and just reward people who have seen it. I mean, like Shane said too, you can take 5 minutes and explain this stuff very well. You've got great writers. I mean, I'm not a good writer. I think I could write a couple lines and you could understand what's going on. But I will say, when it comes to 9, honestly, and I hope this doesn't take us off topic, but I was kind of ruined after I read Colin Trevorrow's version of it, because I just really liked it so much more. I mean, just see it all in my head. Yeah.
Just the art is better than anything we saw in that movie. The art we've seen is just, where was that movie? That movie.
What's weird about that is I feel like what JJ does well at is he comes up with these cinematic scenes and he makes a movie around them.
Did they take JJ's hands and beat him with a stick anytime he had a thought? They're like, no, you can't put that in there.
Well, I mean, like, look at some of there are some amazing looking scenes in 9. The Death Star in the water. That's a cool looking scene, regardless of how you get there and all that stuff. All of the Super Star Destroyers are just Star Destroyers in the lightning. Regardless how you get there, it's cool looking. And I really think his problem is JJ comes up with these great looking scenes, and he's like, we're going to
cinematically,
and then it's like, let's just get there. And they don't really take the time to explain how to get there, So
just another thing to interject real quick, is that was another part of the rumor, was that JJ, when he originally signed on, they told him he was going to have a whole lot more control, and they took it away as the shooting began to go.
Yeah, they panicked.
He was still making they were still making edits in November.
Yeah.
And let me say this about JJ. I wish that stuff didn't come out, and I hope hope it is true, because I feel like JJ's big problem, or perception of JJ, is he starts things phenomenally, like really good, and he doesn't end anything really well. Because you just look at, like, you got Star Trek. We started Star Trek. You look at Lost. He started Lost, and then he kind of got busy doing other stuff, and some other people ended it. You look at, what's the other one where the aliens attack, and
what is that one?
He's good at starting things.
Cloverfield.
Yeah, Cloverfield.
I just don't know how good he is at ending things, and I could be completely wrong, and I hope I am, because I like JJ, and he's started some of my favorite stuff. And I think he's good at writing. But again, I just think 7, 8, 9 really suffered from not having one writer. I mean, and that's what did we have with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? We had George Lucas at the helm. Regardless if you didn't like 1, 2, and 3, or whatever you thought. Isn't it funny how you're right, Shane? People didn't like 1, 2, and 3. Now we go years later, we love them.
Attack of the Clones. I love watching that. I watched that the other day. I forgot how fun that movie is.
Yeah, I mean, in Ahmad, we talk about this, like, 3 is really good.
Really good. Now, I mean, obviously, we can talk about
episode 1,
but come on.
I do like episode 1, the fight scene.
Look, I will say, I read this the other day, and it makes sense. Everybody gives young Anakin such a hard time in episode 1, but we're talking about an 8 or 9-year-old kid, and he was nailing those parts for an 8 or 9-year-old kid. He was doing exactly what they said.
Yeah,
at the time. Yeah,
I have no problem for it.
Could you imagine the stress? People paid $9 to go see the trailer. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you got a lot of weight.
I think the thing with JJ, though, is JJ's whole mindset. I don't think it's that I don't think it's like a downward thing with him. He's always like, it's like Lost. When you get to the end of it, you're like, where the hell are we? And how did we even get here? Yeah.
Well, and to be fair about Lost, the big problem with Lost was ABC wanted 2 more seasons in the middle of it because of money.
Yeah.
If they wouldn't have had those 2 seasons, it would have been even better, because it slowed so far down at the end there. Sorry, this is not a podcast.
But it's always, the stuff he makes is always like there's like hidden meanings that you just have to figure it out yourself. Whereas Star Wars is always, it's laid out. It's not like you're trying to guess where things are at.
Well, not anymore.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
With 9, we had to guess. We
Yeah.
all had to guess, and that's why so many.
Yeah,
people are
lots
upset.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like we could sit there and we could come up with like, I could kind of see how this happened, but they didn't really tell me. So I'm just gonna make up some stuff.
Hey, you know what? Mike Holland brought up a very, very valid point. He said that the lightsaber battles in the prequels were much better than the ones in the rest of the series, which is weird because it's supposed to be old, like the younger versions of everyone. But that Darth Maul scene, my goodness,
Still one of the best things ever.
Hands down the best
for sure.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to talk about the point that he made when he said exactly a mod. I thought that's why you were going with that, or that's what you liked so much.
It's always exactly a mod.
The best statement all day. Exactly a mod.
Cassie's in. She can give us a beep boop boop.
I do want to say though that the lightsaber fight in episode 2 when they fight Dooku drives me nuts. Where they just show flashes like. That's the only lightsaber scene in the original prequels that I had an issue with. When they fight Dooku in the cave and you see like the shadows from the lightsaber, but you don't see the actual battle, still drives me nuts.
Can't get a guy like Dooku to move that good.
What'd you say, Mon?
Yoda in episode 2.
That
people were falling out of their seats when when Yoda started spinning around and
And then at the end, he just picks up the cane.
No, I mean, I'm not talking about the Yoda part. I'm talking about when Dooku fights Anakin and he just showed like the shadows on their faces. I'm like, quit it. Don't be artsy. Show us the lightsabers.
Yeah.
That's what we came for.
Episode 8.
Again, another cinematic scene from J.J. Abrams in 9 when the water's falling on the lightsabers and they're steaming. So freaking cool. And he did the same thing in 7 for us.
Whenever we see them hit the ground, whenever you see them hit the snow. Yeah.
I mean, JJ is good at these pictures and making this cinematic picture. And you're just like, I'm just amazed by how beautiful it looks.
Someone needs to help him with the words.
Yeah. Again, I think that whoever's fault it is, whatever, I don't know. But whoever's fault it is, there is a problem with 9. And we could argue what it is. I think JJ
for a long time we could.
We don't. None of us know, but I think that JJ intended Snoke to probably be the antagonist at the end, and to be the final thing. And then Rian Johnson killed him. Right or wrong, I don't know. But this is what you get when you get 3 people writing a movie.
Yeah.
And this is way off topic, but biggest wasted character was Phasma. Coolest
absolutely
story, and then we just throw her down a hole. Like, no, I read the Phasma book; it was amazing. She kicks ass, but no, we throw her down a hole. I can't even have her episode 9.
Okay, yeah,
I'm done. I'm done.
Let's take a second. So for you guys that might just be jumping in, we are the Marauders. We're a group of a bunch of guys that do Star Wars RPG stuff. We like to talk Star Wars. We're just talking about like Rise of Skywalker, Kathleen Kennedy, which is the executive director, right? Isn't that what her main?
Yeah.
She's over that area.
Creative director.
So if you like this, be sure to like it, comment, share it, let everybody know about it. We're just going to try this out. And yes, Chris Conway, we are nerds, but it's okay to be a nerd.
Real fast.
Okay.
In the Star Wars like back scenes, producers, production, besides George Lucas, who's your favorite? Come on, Ahmad, I know who it is. Dave Filoni. That's right. We all said.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Dave Filoni. Okay, perfect.
Dave Filoni. So, any more episodic series is after this? A 10, 11, 12? What do you guys think?
I personally think that they're going to take a break from these. Not that we don't get those. I kind of think we're going to get something else. I said earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Kenobi movie, not on Disney Plus. It's out there, I know. Obviously, I do think we're going to get a high
High Republic.
High Republic. Hyrule. I'm like in
Wait, what? We'll get one of those too. I'm sure that Disney's going to buy Nintendo, so we'll get one of those.
So we're going to get a High Republic movie. They're setting up a whole new set there.
A G-rated The Witcher.
I got some really cool thoughts about some of that stuff. But anyway, yeah.
If you would have asked me this a year ago, I would have said yes. Now I'm leaning more towards no. One, because I just think it's too much controversy still surrounding the whole Skywalker name and how it should have ended, how it shouldn't have ended, or whatever the case may be. But at the same token, the characters themselves, Oscar Isaac, John Boyega, and Daisy Ridley, they are not happy right now. They need a break. For even John Boyega to say, I ain't doing no Disney Plus. Like I'm a theater actor, or, I'm for the big screen, that type of stuff. Daisy Ridley had to get rid of her social media, and like they were not happy when they finished up the series.
What's funny about that too, Ahmad, is things are changing so much in the cinema universe. I think eventually the big screen is going to be Netflix and all that stuff. Maybe I'm wrong. It just seems
still
like
have the box office.
Yeah.
I think that we're going to see some extended Rey. I don't know if it's going to be an actual movie, but I think they're going to try for it. Maybe 1 or 2 episodes to see where she ends up in the story arc. But she was I think they were really trying to make such a dominant female character, and I don't see why they would just abandon that all of a sudden.
I think they want more Rey, and I think that was the point of this whole trilogy, is to keep going with Rey. And I think, like Ahmad said, I think after this trilogy, all the backlash they got, I think they're going to be done. And if they come back, it will be years down the road. I don't think it'll be as many years as we've done, between 6 and 7.
Yeah.
But I think it will be a while. Maybe they come back to it, but I think it's time to step away and give us trilogies, or give us how many ever of different things.
Ezra, Ahsoka. I saw Mike say Ahsoka.
Go all the way back and give me a Revan. I would sell my soul for Revan. Like, come on.
You definitely spend a lot of money on a blade.
Another point I wanted to make, though, about the question. I'm sorry. I also believe that time is going to tell whether they'll be able to do it or not, because I think that when you ask Daisy Ridley, does she want to do it? She's trying to brand herself outside of Star Wars. And I think if her movies don't do that well, that this is what she'll have to come back to. You look at Robert Downey Jr., who said that he didn't want to do Iron Man anymore. And they've obviously set the storyline up to where he could easily make a return. But at the same token, his movie didn't do well. Doolittle did not do well. And granted, that movie had a bunch of different things go on with it as far as production and this, that, and the other. But at the same token, Robert Downey Jr.'s asking price has come down. And all of the things that he had in place, because he wanted like this super huge pocketbook, and he wanted Pepper Potts to come back. And now a lot of that stuff is kind of like, hey, what y'all need me to do? Because my movies ain't popping.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because it is funny, because when he left, it was like, I'm done with it, blah, blah, blah. And now all of a sudden, I'm seeing reports of him maybe coming back as Iron Man. But I will say, I did watch Doolittle this week, and it was a great movie to watch with my kids. My kids loved it. I thought it was a good family movie. Lots of funny little lines, animals talking. Awesome.
Okay, so let's head on out to, how about The Mandalorian? That has been like, as far as like the Disney Plus stuff, that definitely made people go to Disney Plus. And it definitely, like, after the first few episodes, if you didn't have Disney Plus, you wouldn't got it because of that show. What are you guys thinking about that?
Well, I mean,
go ahead. There it is.
No way.
There it is.
That's it. Baby freaking Yoda, guys. Come on.
I was there at the birth.
Let's come out with Star Wars. Like, baby freaking Yoda. That's it. We're done.
So I don't know which direction we're going in this. I mean, overall, right? I thought the series was great. There were definitely a couple of episodes I could have done without. I definitely was one of those in the minority that the first episode really wasn't that great to me. I thought it was. I mean, I knew I was going to be a fan of the series. But at the same token, that was not like I wasn't like just going off the rails when I first saw it. I mean, there were definitely parts IG-11 and Baby Yoda, just like all of those things, seeing the Ugnaught and just seeing the physical landscape of everything, the practical effects. But overall, it didn't shock me. But fast forward that to Taika Waititi doing that last episode. That was Deborah Chow or one. I can't, whatever. Both of those last couple of episodes were incredible to where it's like, yo, we gotta have this series come sooner than later.
Yeah, I think I mean, right off the bat, loved it. It's one of my favorites, hands down. So good. If we're being picky about stuff, yeah, some of them felt short. It was like, really, that's it? Because you want more. It was a drug. I did have a little. I mean, again, it's great. It's really good. I just think that they did put some kind of training wheels on us through it, setting us up for what his real task is, which is Baby Yoda, getting him to where he needs to get. I think we could have got to that a little faster. It's minor things. It's really good.
But I have something to say against that. I don't mind. I wanted more episodes of him just doing his thing. Like, I know that some of that was like filler episodes and people didn't like it. I loved it. I wanted more. I knew we were going to eventually get to the whole task of he's got this baby Yoda that he has to fend for, and now he's the father, and now he's got to do this, whatever. I wanted more episodes. I wanted more. I wanted him doing his normal thing, doing the Mandalorian, doing some more bounty hunter stuff. I wanted more of it. And I think that when season 2 comes along, hopefully they'll expand on that a little bit more. But I really did enjoy the episodes where there was no agenda. It was just him being the Mandalorian and him just being like, I want to be a Mandalorian because look at what he does. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Justin.
I did think it was a little interesting, though, that he was involved with all these questionable people, but then he had this moral code about him. I don't think they really explained that real well yet. I think they will. I just don't think that was explained yet.
I think it was explained. We've talked about this privately too. But my question to you, Justin, real quick, would you have preferred longer episodes or more episodes?
I kind of like I like the 30 minutes. Okay, so as I know that we're all dads here, but as a dad of a 2-year-old, 30 minutes getting everybody to calm down enough for me to pay attention was perfect. So I would have enjoyed more 30-minute episodes, shorter like 1-hour episodes, but more of those. I don't think I would have been able to have really grasped what was going on, because I was able to go back and watch those 30 minutes over and over and over. I probably watched that whole season 4 or 5 times, just going back and watching it. And in 30 minutes also, my wife's not a super huge Star Wars fan, but she wanted to see more of it also because the smaller snippets were good. They told a good story in those 30 minutes. I thought they did a great job with it.
So go ahead, Shane. I'm sorry.
The episodes were the right size for what they wanted. Like, I don't know if the training wheels were on, if they were nervous about The Mandalorian, because obviously we'd never seen a Star Wars series. So I think from their standpoint, they're the perfect size. I mean, they got the story across. The story was good, in my opinion, on every episode. I mean, obviously, we can argue. But I think it's perfect for what they needed. They set up where they wanted to go with it. And I think that it basically the success of it, and obviously Baby Yoda's everywhere. People can't stop talking about it. I think it just opens it up for the future. Like, now they can really do whatever they want with The Mandalorian. I mean, season 2, they can go wherever they want. They have all the hype, and it pushed the Disney Plus series. And I think it opens the doors for the other series. I think it opens the door for the future. And I think it's best case scenario we could have asked for with The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I think it was a good resurgence for the series for people who've never wanted to or even looked or considered the Star Wars series. Now they're involved and they want to know more.
Yeah, I mean, you can't log on to social media without seeing a meme of Baby Yoda somewhere.
It's true.
I think the biggest thing was the end for me when the dark saber was pulled out.
Ugh.
That was everything right with the thing. Yeah.
Oh,
Everything.
yeah, that was like that was a
That's what
happy
fans-
moment when he pulled that
That's what
out.
the fans have been wanting. Like, give us connect. Like, that connects into not only Clone Wars, but that also connects into Rebels. I mean, it just makes everybody that puts the time into
Yeah.
all this stuff,
Yeah.
it makes us happy. It's like, oh, I'm rewarded for actually knowing what this is. I already know everything about it. I'm excited.
Well, I think part of that is because we have the person with the connective tissue that's a part of the show, which is Dave Filoni. And the fact that, this is his first time really diving into live action, it's definitely great to see what him and Favreau are able to come up with. And which is why, like I said, I disagreed with you, Joey, as far as his mission and everything being fleshed out. I just feel like that we had to first know who he was, and then we had to know what the Mandalorian code was, which was established in this particular series, because in Clone Wars, obviously the Mandalorian culture was different, because in Clone Wars they were able to take their helmets off, but this is a whole after the fact, so now they're following a different code. That's not the Heineken virus, y'all. I'm good. But at the same time, I still think that we were able to learn about his code and then learn what his mission was in a very, very cinematic way, and the story arc expanded across each thing.
I think they're gonna get there. I just don't feel like they explained to me. We can disagree. I know you're not gonna like what I say, but I just don't feel like they explained to me why he was willing to die for his creed. Like, I know he saw other people do it, and I think I don't feel like they gave a good explanation in that. I'm in the minority here, and that's fine.
Well, I just think this is what and I'm not going to argue, which I know that you feel strongly about that opinion, but this is the only thing I wanted to say about it. So to me, what they did really well, they kept using the flashback scene of showing bits and pieces of him growing up as a child, and so you learn that these people who saved him sacrificed everything to save him, which is why, like, every time he got the Beskar, he then asked the question of, hey, can we make sure this goes to the foundlings? You know what I'm saying? So to me, that was showing why it was so important to follow the structure. And yes, with the other episodes, like when he met with the jail scene, which Mike Holland brought up, and we got to find out he had a dark side or dark past side. He had to grow into something and then came back to the creed again. So
I think they did a great job explaining the creed. They did. They explained the Mando creed very well. They didn't really explain his relationship with the Mando creed, why he was willing to die for it.
But I don't think that.
I mean, all the flashbacks.
Hold on, Justin. I can see Shane's face. Let's go with that real quick.
I'm with Ahmad on this one. Did you watch the series? Did you watch the series? I mean, I don't want to be argumentative, but they explained it in every episode. It was the whole point of the series. Like, you see time and time again why he's committed to the code, and you see him in every episode obeying the code. And then even when he doesn't obey the code and he goes back and rescues the child, the rest of the Mandalorians step in and help him. Like, that is the code.
No, listen, I get the code. Listen, you're not hearing me, Shane. I get the code. They explain the code. I understand he's following the code.
His motivation is that they saved him and they raised him. They show that in the flashbacks.
I'm gonna make a prediction now. Season 2, we're gonna understand more about why he is committed to the code. That's all.
I think we all do already.
Well, then
so
it'll be just for me.
I think also.
I'm sorry, I love you, Joey.
You got to watch The Mandalorian through a different set of eyes. I don't think it was ever intended for someone to look and watch The Mandalorian as if they're a Mandalorian. It's as if you're an outsider in this world and you don't even, like you said, I don't understand what you're doing. And they give you the little snippets because his character's only giving you those snippets. Now, of course, we can put the story together and understand, but I think that you think of it through other lenses. You're an outsider, you're an alien on this world, and you don't know why he's doing the things he's doing. You're just following along with the story. You're going with what he's giving us.
Yeah.
The crowd goes wild.
So
it's 4-on-1.
You can.
I'm sorry.
No. Look, I do not mind disagreeing. It does not hurt my feelings. As long as nobody gets their feelings hurt that I disagree with them, it's fine.
As long as no one says anything negative about the child, because I will fight you.
We're just going to talk negative about Padme.
Hey, so Justin, what are you most excited about for the next season? Where do you think we want to go, and how do you feel about that?
Ahsoka. I'm so pumped. I am so pumped to see what they do with her character. I whenever I saw that leak, I was like, yes, thank the Lord. Here we go. Now we get a real guy to follow.
Okay, so since we're going on to the Ahsoka thing, so I thought I knew the chick's face when I saw this, but I didn't it didn't click with me where I saw it. But I'm a big I like show tunes, I like theatrical stuff like that. So Rent, I did not know that she was starred in Rent, which is one of my favorite oh, somebody covered up, didn't like that.
Can I, before we change the subject, can I just make one little more point?
Yes.
Again, I know I'm going to get all the hate. I love it. Bring it. So that scene when he's with the droid and he doesn't want to take off his mask, I feel like because I don't really understand why he's bought into this creed so much, that I don't understand. Look, I understand the creed. You don't take off your mask. Cool. I get it. But I think that scene could have been way more emotional if they would have flushed that out a little bit more of his past and why he's committed to the lore of the character, he's committed to this code. That's it. Okay. Sorry. We can move on.
Okay. So back to what I was saying.
Ahsoka's amazing.
Yeah. So what is her name? It is, I had it pulled up here.
Rosario Dawson.
Yes. Rosario Dawson.
Yes.
So she has been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
But I know that we already have an Ahsoka, we have a voice for Ahsoka. Do you think the voice that we had, do you think with everything we have and how we can CGI and add extra stuff, do you feel like she would have been better to stay as Ahsoka or go on with Rosario like we have? I really like Rosario as an actor in the things that I've said in Rent. She's been in a lot of the Daredevil stuff, those Netflix series, and she did really good with those.
I think for what they're wanting to do with Ahsoka, it feels like they're getting ready to push Ahsoka on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And especially hiring a big time actor like that. I feel like you got to have someone with really good acting chops.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know the girl, Ahmad knows her.
Ashley Eckstein.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people like her and she might do good. I don't know, but it just seems like to me, you would want to go with a big time person, that's going to nail the parts that for pushing so much on Ahsoka here coming up. I think
Star Wars has never been a series. We're talking movie that's needed big names. Even going back to episode 3, 4, and 5, no one knew who those people were. Maybe. For the most part, even episode 1, 2, and 3. That's been they hire nobodies, and then they build their careers out of that. I'm a big fan of Rosario. I love it. I think it's a great hire. I'm just super worried about the voice. Now, obviously, she's an actress and she's great, so hopefully she gets close. But my fear is there's a noticeable difference. I love the Ahsoka character, but that voice is the character to me. So if she sounds totally different, I'm worried. But if it's close, I'm good.
Here's the thing, right? So it's part of what Joey was saying, and it's other things. Okay, so a lot of people look at Darth Maul, right? You had Ray Park play Darth Maul, but then you had Sam Witwer do his voice. Well, that was already established from the get-go. Plus, Darth Maul didn't talk a whole bunch. Okay, So then they built from Darth Maul. What happened was Dave Filoni went to. Not Dave Filoni. George Lucas went to Dave Filoni and said, "Hey, bring Maul back." And he said, "Well, Maul's dead." He said, "Yeah, you figure it out." You know what I'm saying? So basically,
do that impersonation again.
Yeah, figure it out.
Do it again, come on.
But so here's the thing.
No, do the impersonation one more time.
Come on, George.
Hey, Dave. I need you to do something for me. Bring Darth Maul back. But here's the thing, though.
It's like Rain Man almost.
Now fire Kathleen Kennedy, George.
Fire Kathleen Kennedy.
He's the one who hired her.
But with Ahsoka, though, it is one of those things that with Disney being the company that it is trying to bring new eyes into Star Wars. And we have to understand that we are one of the people, we're pocket people, meaning that we know who Ahsoka is. I guarantee you, just like there was people that didn't know anything about The Mandalorian, there's even more people that don't know who Ahsoka is. Yeah. And so the fact that you bring in Rosario Dawson, somebody who is very, very recognizable amongst the community, it is a beautiful thing to bring someone of her caliber in to play this person when, number one, she's been lobbying for this for at least the last 4 years. And also she really does look like Ahsoka even without makeup. Yeah. Ashley Eckstein is a great actress. She's not just a voice actress. She is a good actress. But maybe the how old Ahsoka is supposed to be during the time of the Mandalorian, it's probably going to be best for her to play it. Yes, the voice is going to be a thing, but if her acting is great and we don't even know how much she's going to talk or do whatever the case may be, she could be phenomenal as Ahsoka. I just need to see it.
I didn't think about that, Ahmad. That's good.
What if at the very last episode of The Mandalorian, she's standing on a hilltop and he walks up and hands her Baby Yoda?
She throws it over her shoulder.
Like, that's we wrote it. That's the opening of season 3. Is her throwing Baby Yoda over her shoulder.
It all comes back around.
It's comedic. It's like the stormtroopers or the troopers that were sitting out there trying to shoot the can.
Yes.
See, it's comedy. Let's do it. I want to do it.
I didn't think about that, Ahmad. I like that. The fact if you bring in someone like her automatically gives credibility with other people. So I know, like with my wife, she knows who that person is. She watched Daredevil with me. She likes him. So I could see her immediately being invested in something like that because she likes the actor. So I didn't think about that. And I think that's a good call for sure.
Now, Mike Holland did bring up a good point too. Ahsoka is Dave Filoni's creation, which is interesting because Ashley Eckstein was brought in from the beginning to voice her. She's voiced her as a little girl all the way to old Ahsoka, and now doing the 20s Ahsoka. So it's just going to be interesting altogether to see how it goes. And I'm sure that Dave Filoni lobbied for her to get the part. But again, from the standpoint of, hey, man, we're trying to get more eyes on this thing, and we're trying to keep people logged into this series. You bring a Rosario Dawson in, somebody who's been in Men in Black, who's been in Luke Cage, who's been in Daredevil, who's been in a lot of the other movies. It's a good look all the way around.
Yeah. So real quick, I had looked her up in like on IMDb. That was nice.
It's empty. We gotta hurry.
It's like there's nothing left. So I had looked up like some of the other stuff she did because, like I said, I knew who she was, but I couldn't figure out where that was at. But she has done a ton of voice acting with like DC comic movies, like the Reign of Superman, Death of Superman stuff that I've watched. She actually did like the Wonder Woman character in those, and she's done a lot of games too. So she has done a lot of voice acting. So I feel like she is a well-rounded person for a character like that.
I just want her voice to be close. That's all I ask. Just be close.
Well, just pretend.
Well, it's not like Luke's voice is going to be. Luke's voice isn't going to be the same unless they use Mark Hamill in that new series, though, right?
I understand that. I'm just saying I like the Ahsoka character. I mean, I'm all for the casting. I just want the voice to be close. That's it.
You just want that voice in your dreams is all it is.
No, it's not Natalie Portman's voice, so it's not going to be in his dreams.
Let me ask you this question, though, right? Even if it's not close, like if you look at like all of the voice actors that's in Clone Wars and stuff like that, they aren't the real people. Now, they did bring in Ewan McDermott to do some of Palpatine or whatever the case may be, but for the most part, a lot of these people that's playing Anakin, that's playing Obi-Wan and stuff like that, it's not Ewan McGregor and all of the other... Those are the voice actors. But is Ahsoka's voice as important as like if Optimus Prime? Is her voice that important?
I mean, to me, it's the character. Like I know what Luke Skywalker is supposed to sound. The Mace Windu voice is terrible. I'm sorry, but the Mace Windu in the cartoon in the Clone Wars is terrible. But I can get over that. I'm just saying, like Ahsoka is a huge character, and it was created for the Clone Wars. And like you said, she has voiced it in every one of the series, from little girl all the way to episode 9. And so it would just be jarring for me if we finally see her live action and her voice doesn't sound anything like the character. Obviously, I'm going to get over it. Obviously, I'm going to watch it. My only thing is I want it to sound close. That's it. I just want it to sound close. It's
okay.
I
So
don't care. As long as the story's good, I don't care.
I'm going to watch it.
yeah, I agree. We could get away with the voice if the story would be good for us.
I'm going to watch
in
it.
the end.
I just want to see Ezra. That's all I want to see.
And the space.
Go watch,
Okay.
Go watch Clone Wars.
Do you guys want to go on to talking about the solo series, or we just want to just?
I think we need to pick this up on the next one.
Yeah, man. We want people to stay.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so
We didn't
real
even talk about
quick.
the new episode of
No,
Clone Wars.
it's on the next one.
Yeah, we can talk about all the animated stuff on the next one we do. I think everybody's been liking it. You guys been liking this? If so, give me a thumbs up. Something. Yeah, I definitely had a lot of fun. So, you guys, appreciate you hanging out with us. I know that we've had a lot of fun talking to you guys, just talking with each other. Hopefully, you guys want more of this because I definitely love doing it. So, how about you guys?
Loved it.
And
man.
so we also got up here Ahmad. He has another podcast. We're going to try to get him to post something in the links for us so everybody can see that. Shane has nothing because he's a loser. So,
I got nothing.
and then Joey here, we'll have him post something maybe if he'll do it. Him and Melvin have been doing a live stream, so you need to check that out. Go tip them too. They need some money. They got nothing.
I had during the recording, I had to shut my garage door, so all the bugs were coming in.
That's real, man. That's real life right there.
That's real stuff.
Real life.
COVID-19, guys.
So we appreciate
Are we
you guys hanging out.
Are we gonna do a RPG night? Are we gonna do an RPG night? I think we should.
Live on here.
Live RPG night.
I don't know if people can handle us live with our RPG part. That's a little different.
You guys can just leave me out. Yeah.
Definitely leave Shane out. Yeah.
All the sexist comments towards Shane.
I don't know what you're talking about. There's no video proof of that.
We just won't show his character from the waist down. That's what.
Well, if he walks out of the room, we'll let Justin play his character. It's really comical.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'm Shane. I'm a Jedi Knight. Ooh.
Okay, guys. Thanks for hanging out, and see you next time.
See you.
We're out.
See y'all.
Peace.
Ba-bow.